Okay, it's all in the hips. That's what Chubb said.
That's what Chubb said. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. We're gonna help you simplify the way that you use your hips in your golf swing, because I see a lot of instruction still out there that's telling you that you should rotate your hips a whole lot in your backswing. We do want your hips to rotate. We want them to rotate somewhere between 30 and 40 degrees at max value when you start to move back over to your lead side. And a lot of you over-rotate your hips in the backswing and under-rotate your hips in the downswing. And that right there is a great way for you to become inefficient and to put your body in harm's way. We're gonna help you simplify this process today, because what we're gonna do is gonna get you nice and stable and loaded into your right hip. And then we're gonna teach you how to get off that right side, because in any hitting or throwing sport, you need to remember that you're gonna use the trail side of your body to help get things moving. But you also need to remember that you don't wanna just overpower through this and start to push yourself into these faults like extension, spinning out, pushing yourself past neutral and putting a lot of stress on the hip girdle. We're gonna work on finding that perfect balance for you. Now here's how I want you to do things. Jace, what club do you have in your hands here today?
I have an 8-iron in my hands, Chris.
Okay, so we're gonna work on first loading into that trail hip. And we're gonna do that by making a little pressure shift and focusing in on where the weight moves through your foot. To do this safely, you need to make sure that your weight moves underneath your trail ankle more towards the trail heel side. So Jace, set up for me. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about your belt buckle shifting towards your right foot. And I want your weight to go back towards that right heel. And I want you just to kind of feel that little nudge over into the side for me. Okay, feel that?
All right, yeah, I feel it.
How much pressure do you feel moving to that foot now?
70 to 80 probably.
Okay, that's good. So right there, what I want you to do is I want you to now think about your right knee being a laser beam, and it's pointed at a spot in front of you. And I want you to keep this right leg flexed, and I just want you to turn. Okay, all the way up to the top of the swing. Now what do you feel?
Feel a lot more load over there, the glutes firing up big time.
Yep. So you feel what it's like to actually get this right side to help rotate. What we did there early on is to free up the body to allow the right hip to start to rotate. And what we did as we started to turn the body is we used the braking mechanism that our body is really good at by just focusing in on where the right knee is. If the weight's back underneath the ankle joint and we keep that right knee flexed and facing forward, pointed at a spot in front of you, then what it's gonna do is keep your right hip from rotating too far back into depth. It's gonna help you create good separation between the hip line and shoulder line.
Absolutely.
So I first want you to start out by doing about 10 to 15 warm-up reps. And I want you to work at kind of moderate pace here, because it's gonna feel pretty restricted to a lot of you. You wanna think about center of mass moving away from the golf ball and your weight parking to that right heel, okay? And then you wanna keep that right knee flexed and facing forward all the way to the top and stop. And a lot of you are gonna feel like you're making half a backswing. You can see Jace is not turning at his full 90 degrees. This is the thing that you're gonna start to kind of get burned into your brain at first, okay? It's gonna feel pretty restricted, huh?
Well, Chris, you know what I really noticed is my right glute is firing up like unbelievably.
Yep.
And if I take all that flex out of that right knee, all that glute firing is gone.
Exactly.
I don't feel anything in there anymore, right?
Right, and show them again too, if you drill up to the top of the swing for me. So the right way, okay, get up there. Now take that right knee and turn it out a little bit towards me. See how the hips start to rotate? Now, what you're gonna find is that when the lead arm gets to about parallel to the ground on the way back, is when the hips are gonna start to really slow down. You won't see a lot of big movement, you'll see little small movements in there, but that's the body getting ready to start creating that separation, that explosion off of that side. So 10 to 15 reps is what I want you to do to start out, and then once you get that feel, now we need to start learning how to use the trail side to help motor or start that engine in the downswing and get it coupled back with what the lead side should be doing. Oh yeah, Jace wanted me to remind you that we are a very, very happy channel to have you, and we want to make sure that those of you that are watching our channel that have not yet subscribed, it doesn't cost you anything, head down below and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post that stuff up below. And it always does us a really, really big, big favor when you hit that like button. It helps us with our psyche and it helps us, feel good about ourselves. Now, let's get back to work. Now, if you watch a good throwing motion, okay, and we start to get off of this right leg. So if I'm gonna be throwing the ball in that direction, okay, and I load to my right leg and my left leg starts to pick up, what you're gonna see is my left leg is gonna start to externally rotate towards the target. This is what we call internal femur rotation. That movement is actually happening in the golf swing. And at that same time, what you're gonna see is that my right foot, I start to roll to the inside portion of my right ankle. So I want you to think about the starter of this movement as rolling to the inside portion of your right ankle. And if you think about, in the golf swing, we're obviously not picking our feet up, but you're gonna think about getting your weight to move back towards the trail heel, trail ankle area of the lead foot then what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to create that internal femur rotation, just like you would see of a baseball pitcher, without really having to think about all that movement. So Jace, why don't you go ahead and set up for me, load up to the top.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to use your right ankle to help move the body left, but I want you to focus on where that weight moves to the left heel. Yeah, exactly. So you can actually see his toes started to get really light there to the ground. He's thinking about where the weight is trying to land in that foot. If you don't, then the hips are going to stay closed. And if the hips stay closed, now you're in a position where it's a closed hip slide and you're going to continue to drive through the right side, and you're going to get yourself into trouble. Okay, now, so what we're going to do is we're going to start linking these two movements together for another 10 to 15 reps. Thinking about loading right and then moving to the right inside portion of the right ankle and landing in the left ankle. We're not making real swings yet because we've got to be able to finish this off in the third and final step. So load right, roll to the inside, land on that left ankle. How much pressure do you feel on the left side now?
Probably 80 to 90%. I mean, almost
90.
all of it's over there.
Yep.
I mean, this right foot, I mean, I could take it right off the ground if I needed to.
Exactly. So it's okay to see an abundance of body movement that we're going to tone back here in just a little bit. So we're loading right knee, laser beam, good. Rolling to the inside portion of the ankle, just focusing on where the weight lands, left ankle.
And Chris,
really
how open would you say you want the hips to be at this point in the golf swing?
So that hand and arm position that you're bringing down there is a little bit too far in there for now, but we're not focusing there. The hips will be open probably 15 to 20 degrees by the time the hands and arms work down in front of the trail thigh, and they'll continue to open up and slow down at that point.
Okay.
And we're going to finish that off in step 3. But I want people to get really connected to the load and the unload process first, and then we're going to really start to fire things up. So we want to create good feel. So good load. Okay, get off that right ankle. Good. So don't be afraid to use that right ankle to move your entire body. A good way to, if you're having a hard time kind of feeling this, stand with your feet in proper stance width, put all your weight on your trail foot, and then roll your whole body over to the left side. And do this back and forth for a second. It's going to feel like a lot of movement because it is. Now, when I introduce horizontal movement to your golf swing, what I can do to offset that horizontal natured movement is add in another force. And that is what? Well, rotational force. So I'm going to quickly tone Jace back here by, as soon as he starts to roll off that trail ankle and he starts to feel that weight land to the lead side, is I'm going to tell him to start rotating his lead side obliques. He's going to start to rotate that core as much as he can. And now you're going to start to see this golf swing start to look more like a real golf swing. So let's get the golf ball out of there. Now let's do some moderate speed swings here, Jace. So we're just going to go load right leg laser beam, roll off, and then get that left side cleared out. Good. So you feel how everything's kind of getting tightened up now?
Oh, yeah.
Good. You want to start that movement by rolling to the inside portion. Think about where that weight lands on the left side, and then get those left obliques to really rotate. Yep. So I like to use the visual of the lead side flank. Go ahead and set up for me. So as soon as he starts to feel that pressure move off the trail side, is use this side of the body right here and the belt buckle to turn open as much as you can. And that's going to start to pull the hips open and pull the shoulders around to that nice square position. Okay, so let's go ahead and start picking up the pace here and let people see what it's like. Okay. Good, awesome. Feel tight?
Yep, and Chris, what's another thing you notice up here with your divots while you're doing this?
It's in front of the golf ball.
So it's in front of the golf ball, but they're all in the same spot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if they're not all in the same spot, what's that mean with your shift you're doing there?
Probably not getting enough over
Probably not getting enough over there, or probably not getting the same amount every time, right?
Yep. You want to try to get the weight moving. Don't be afraid of that old mantra of staying in the barrel. Get out of the barrel and start moving a little bit, and then you can tone that back with more rotation. Jace, let's go through one rep here and let's hit a golf ball and let's have some fun.
All right.
Okay, nice. You can see I was just kind of focusing through things here, trying to create some awareness. He's probably gonna do a rep where he starts to shake out the tension and move through it. Good, I love that. Okay.
So if those reps felt good, right, we're ready to move into the golf ball.
Yep.
If those reps didn't feel good, probably should go back to the beginning and start over.
Exactly. So be patient. Okay, feel the legs and the hips work here. Nice, man, good. Really good. Give them one more shot for the home team, and we'll get these people wrapped up. Okay, trust it. Upper body stays patient, load that up and go. Nice, man, good shot. So with a drill of this nature, what you really should be working on is just one piece at a time and get really good at that. But we know the reality is that a lot of you don't have the patience to be able to work through a protocol of that nature. So what you want to do is you want to start working on the movements in 3 separate pieces and then start blending them together. Be accountable for your action zone. If you take a camera out to the range with you and you start seeing that right knee straighten up a little bit too much, or you see that right knee turning out, or you start to lose awareness of where your weight's landing, then slow down. Go back to step 1 and get really good at that. Think about just that little tiny shift and where the weight's landing, and then keep that right leg flexed and facing forward, and then start the engine, and then start adding in the left side core rotation, and then you're gonna start finding, hey, I got a way to be able to start swinging. The focus is all down here. If you do this stuff right, and you keep this stuff upstairs, nice and relaxed, you're gonna see good results. You have to do this stuff right if you're gonna have a successful golf swing.
Absolutely.
Jace, anything you wanna add?
I think you got it all in the bag, Chris.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.